I usually just get I like a little roster, so you don't mess anybody's name up. Thumbs up from the cameras. All right, set us off, man.
Yeah, Coach, just following up on the injured guys, Root, Troy, any update on Dahlman, and I guess Hamilton was questionable going into the game also.
Dahlman's doing really well, progressing back. Hamilton made it through the game fairly well. Rook will have to see a little bit more, see what's going on with him today. Not looking great. Who else you asked about? Troy Anderson will be out there practicing today. He'll be progressing a little bit further. Hopefully get him out there some more team periods moving forward. Looking like he's progressing back into maybe his normal flow. We'll see soon enough.
And then just how do you determine your risk guys? I know Coach Mike Smith used to do the over 30 club, but what are you? This is part medical, part age, part.
All right, without going full blown John Griffin and Jake Fowl on you, it's based on some of his age, some of his injury, previous history, things of that nature. Some of that's things that are going on within the workload that they do during the week. Some of it's position specific, so to speak, and some of those type of different things. So there's a bunch of different things that go into that. That is not done with myself alone. That's done with medical people that are a lot more intelligent than I am when it comes to when to rest people and how to get the best performance out of all our guys at different times.
Yeah, getting in to work here today, what will be some of the key issues as you get ready for the Cowboys?
Obviously, on their offense, very highly explosive team, with Dak and that receiver, 88, man, they've been dominant since he's been in the National Football League. They got a bunch of guys that's been able to play around those guys and play really well, at the tight end position in particular. They've been explosive all over the place with all their wideouts. They struggle a little bit in the run game, obviously, this year, but, that is still Ezekiel Elliott. And if he decides to open up, he can, as we all know. They've been really dangerous on defense over the years, rushing the passer, been able to do some of those different things and how they can do it and how they can generate a pass rush. They got a lot of veteran presence up there at their linebacker position with Kendricks. They're moving over from Minnesota with their new coordinator in Zimmer. The expected things that always happens when you're a new coordinator, you implement your system, they have a little bit of struggles, and then you catch up, and as the season goes, you get better and better. So that's what they've been looking like. From a special team standpoint, it's bones, man. You always got to be ready for everything under the sun. All types of fakes, readiness, preparation, extremely detailed is what he's been doing over the years, and he's been one of the better special teams players, special team coaches in the National Football League. We've got to go see a good old friend, C. Goodwin. He was out there too, out there dominating at the gunner.
Right.
Just want to see about Justin Simmons too.
Justin Simmons should be back on his normal program. He'll be out today, probably have some modified stuff with him, but he'll be looking forward to him getting back and potentially being ready to go this week. Sorry about that, Mark. I do not come up with I do not travel with the injury lists. I kind of make my decisions and just make you guys ask me who you want to talk about.
I know we've been talking about it a lot, but when it comes to...
We cannot rush the passer. And we got to get better, Allison.
But do you see, obviously you look at quarterback hits and that kind of stuff, but do you see maybe that there's some progress in the direction when your DBs are able to get interceptions and cause forced fumbles? Does that mean that maybe they are getting the pressure?
Yes, Allison, it's all tied in together. And, not to cut you off, but I was just laughing at your intent. She just loves me so much she don't want to be mean. Just ask the pass rush questions like some of these other jerks that normally would do it. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's just we can't we're not doing a great job of rushing the passer individually, right? We have gotten better with our ability to rush the passer. Last week was kind of an anomaly. We fell off a little bit and didn't get to him as nearly as much as you need to when a guy's able to drop back and pass the ball that way. But we have forced the ball to come out quicker. Some of them have been completions. Most of them have been completions, right? So you want to play a little bit tighter coverage to give them more time to get there. But with that being said, some of the balls come out quickly, make quick decisions, and AJ's been able to make plays or Jesse's been able to make plays or whatever the case may be, the shoot awareness and getting to the football to when you do want the check down or you do want the underneath stuff thrown, being able to get there faster and corral those guys and get them on the ground faster. So, all of that stuff plays a part, but you're definitely right. We still got to increase our pass rush. Nobody's setting excuses for those guys. We have seen, different practice performance than we've seen game performance, and that's the thing you got to change.
With it being a defensive-minded coach, do you feel like do you have to kind of step in a little bit more and help out more, or are you still kind of, are you, like, because that's more of your area?
I do it all, Allison. I'm an offensive coach, defensive coach, and then, realistically, special teams coach. You got to be able to help out in any aspect and area that you possibly can. And, definitely feel the urgency and the need from all of our guys. Our coaches do such a great job of even talking about it, and our players do such a great job of trying to execute it. I got so much confidence in us getting better and better throughout the system and throughout the year that I really feel good that it's going to be where it needs to be when it has to be there.
Is there any point where you're just like, all right, it's we're through 8 weeks now, 6 sacks, something's not working, we need to fix, we need to tweak this, we need to do this. Is that any consideration? Like, hey, we gotta change what we're doing.
Mark, I think you constantly tweak, so it's never like it's no hard-headed coaching that's ever involved with any of that type of stuff. You've done a different amount of things. You've seen zero blitzes, you've seen pressures, you've seen 4-man rushes, you've seen the ability to play sticky coverage, you've seen off coverage, allowing stuff to go underneath. So it kind of changes from a week-to-week basis, but it's just never a hard-headed mentality. So it's always going to be tweaks and things you got to get better at. And you'll look at that every single play, every single week, every single down. You have to. There's no question about that. You got to always be willing to change and do different things.
Does that put a lot of stress on the secondary? I mean, they played pretty well this season overall, but when you can't get to the passer.
I don't think you look at it that way. Somewhat it provides a little bit of opportunity for him. We haven't seen AJ get 2 picks in a very long time, if ever. And right now he's at the ability to get 2 picks. Jesse Bates is making plays all over the place. So those guys have played extremely well in different areas, different times of the game, especially timely last week and getting the ball back for us. So, I wouldn't necessarily call it pressure. I just call it what the business entails. You got to do whatever you got to do to win that football game, and that's what those guys have been doing. I'm very proud of them.
You guys, I think you're second to last in the time of possession.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that speaks directly to the ability to kind of get those sacks and
Earlier,
the ball back quicker?
Earlier was a reflection of not getting off on 3rd down, and then last week it was a reflection of not getting off on 3rd down a lot of those times. And then some of those things in our instance last week was a case of actually getting turnovers. When they have the ball for a minute, Jesse punches it out, gets it, and we get the short field and score. That's a little bit of that too, but definitely something that we've always looked into when it comes to time of possession and how you want to handle that. So, being able to run the football and control it that way, the management of where you kick the ball to, and being able to win on 3rd downs are highly significant points that come with the time of possession that we've looked at throughout the season, in the course of the season, and being able to change that within the game. I think at halftime or something like that versus Tampa, it was 9 minutes to whatever it was, to 20. And it's we found a way to close the gap on that in the second half to make it even close, but still losing the battle throughout the game, but being able to win the football game.
Is that more on the offense, though, or is that kind of the defense allowing these long, because there's a lot of long drives?
Time of possession is like a team stat, so it's all encompassing. So allowing drives, like we said, being able not to get off of some of those 3rd downs, but also scoring quickly, or when you get to short field, having the ability to score. Short field right at the back, bang, I'm never going to complain about scoring fast. That'd be silly of me, but that's all a part of it.
Would you guys, at some point, though, I know it's 8 weeks in and you're constantly changing, at some point do you think with the trade deadline coming, we need to add help maybe? That's, you can only do so much with what you have.
Terry is the greatest in the world, so he's constantly looking, constantly talking. Those things, we try to get better everywhere. So he's always going to be about his process, Pace, Kyle Smith, all those guys upstairs, Tumbo, they're steadily grinding, and they'll always have those opportunities. And right now it's just become more popular in the National Football League to talk about than it used to be. But now it's a lot more popular to talk about. There's a lot more sellers for the most part than there used to be. I was kind of not in style back in the day, but it's a lot more prevalent across the board. And then you got to, do all the value things that come into the play of the trade and what you can get for them. And then who's selling, who's dumping, right? Then you got to make those decisions. It's tough, What point do you feel like you become a seller, and what point do you feel like you're a buyer? All those things come into play.
John has had 3 straight games with 100 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. Now that you're 8 games in, has the shared workload with your 2 primary backs gone as you anticipated entering the season? Do you feel it's been successful in keeping both fresh?
They're just they got such a high capacity to be able to do so much, even more than they've done. You can see both of those guys, like they have in the past, potentially get 100 yards in the game, and Bijan potentially get 200 yards in the game because his ability to catch the ball at the backfield and to make explosive plays just anywhere on the grass, and their ability to play together. So I think they're just getting better and better and better every single week. And I kind of said this, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I was at the end of every game, somebody with all the amount of players that we have, when we talk about Drake and Mooney and Bijan and Tyler and Pitts and all those guys, somebody's not going to be happy. at the end of some of those games. But what's been happening is it's been moving around, really nicely as of late, and I'm really inspired by the style of play that we've been able to play, and that all starts with our quarterback and our play caller having the ability to find different people and be able to go through the process every single week and be decisive.
Drake and Darnell both have more than 500 yards receiving. How well do they complement each other's games in order to have success?
Stature for losers, as you know, but the thing that she went out and got him for is because, like Drake is the big body mover, has always been that kind of guy, contested catches, and also been able to put some stuff down the field this year that's been really looking good. But when you went out and got Mooney, there was no secret. I think we talked about it early in the offseason about wanting the need for speed and being able to add guys like Drake and Ray, and at the time Rondell Moore, guys that can absolutely run at a different speed, than normal. Somehow we've normalized 4.3 speed, but when you got guys that can run that, sometimes we normalize 4.4 speed. But when you get guys that can run that, that's just a different separator. And then when you get guys that can run fast and take the top off, particularly when you're talking about even our tight end being fast and being able to make some of the plays he made last week, you want a need for speed. And those guys and Drake have really complemented each other really well and being able to get the ball underneath, both of them, or being able to take it up top. And they've done a nice job of really feeding off each other.
Raheem, you've coined this phrase of outrunning the South, which is on all the T-shirts now and everything for the team. What does that mean to you beyond just the fact of winning the division? Because everybody wants to win their division.
Yeah, I didn't really mean to do that. But, I was just speaking from the heart. And it's just like, we all want to make the playoffs, right? Everybody in every division. And it's like, in order to do that, you have to be able to win your division. And I think it gets overblown by, it's not just winning the 6th game within your division, it's winning the division, right? So how do you outrun them? It's winning all the games so they can't catch you. And we put ourselves in lead position, and we got to keep running. Like, you can't look back because you know what they're doing. They're chasing. They didn't stop. So it's like, how do you outrun the South? And you put yourself in that position to do that, keep running.
Just said that. You said that in April. You coined that phrase in April.
Didn't mean to coin it again, but I was just speaking from the heart, speaking to those guys and just being absolutely honest. Somehow I let these guys talk me into doing a team meeting live, and that came out, and then people just taking it in the room with it. So
you just ad-libbed.
that's normal. That's usually normal.
Being in Los Angeles, you got that. Maybe you went to the ground.
It's been there for a long time. I absolutely messed up a press conference one time, and I was, from Jersey, speaking so fast, and I said, "What did I say?" I said "youngry." I was trying to say young and hungry. I was trying to say young and hungry in Tampa, and it came out youngry, and I was like, "That's pretty cool. Let's stick with it." But and I absolutely made up a word, but that happens to me at times.
You didn't trademark Outrun the South?
I think I missed the op on the youngry. I think I probably missed it on Outrun the South based on the fact that it's on every T-shirt. So. My business savvy people are just missing ops, man.
We heard about Kirk Cousins talking to the team. I guess it was in a Friday meeting, and regardless of what he said, how important is it for you to have a player on your roster that is able to kind of take charge like that? And what do you think was kind of what he was trying to express?
I think the cool part of having a guy like that is because you go out and we were looking for a quarterback to come out here and lead our offense and to move the ball around, to be efficient. But the leadership stuff that you get from Kurt when it comes to those things, and just having the wherewithal to be able to speak to the team and be able to, just be the sounding board for the message. And sometimes let me be the sounding board for his message to the team. And I think really that player-led environment is what we talked about within the interview structures, when we talked about in the team structure and what you want and how you want it and who you want to be doing it. And the guys are just kind of falling in place, like Kurt has a real cool understanding of what we want to do and how we want to do it. He has a real process of what he's done over the course of his career and how much success he's had. And I think people want to listen, right? When a guy's had that much success and made as much money as he has some success in his league from a on the field and off the field perspective, I think it'd be only wise to listen when you got a guy like that.
You talked so much before Kirk came about, what kind of quarterback he is.
Yes.
But now through 8 games, how much fun is it for you to watch him put this together and watch him really show off exactly what he can do?
It's ecstatic for me, because I knew what the player was, and we all saw the completion rate, we all saw the touchdowns, we all saw the success he had. You like that. We all saw the Kirko chains moments. We saw all those things from the outside looking in, but being able to get back with him, it's been fun to see the leadership aspect of him come out and even grow to a higher level. Because when I left him, that's not what it was, right? It was It was the young guy just making sure he did the right thing. And now it's like the family man, the leader, the community contributor, the everything that you describe when you talk about what you want your players to be and how you want them to be in the community. Now, I was fortunate enough to be around a guy like that in Matt Ryan, a guy like that in Matthew Stafford. And now to see Kirk just be able to be that for us is absolutely outstanding, and it is ecstatic for all of us in the organization.
Is it a little better than maybe you anticipated?
It's hard to say better. It's hard to say better. It's what you've hoped that guys like that had the ability to grow into, because he has such potential, even when you knew he was just a young football player. So like I'm just really ecstatic and happy. He's exactly that.
Yeah. You've dealt with a few mobile quarterbacks this season. Dak is a guy who's historically been that way, but this year he's, I think, rushing for the least in his career. Just when you're assessing the pass rush, how are you balancing that of like a guy who isn't so much this year, but like can take off? That's
always a problem. That's most of the league right now. We probably one of the few people that got the static quarterback. Although he got out last week, guys, it's 14 speed, man. Don't be haters, guys. But that's kind of like comes up every single week, just about with somebody that can move. Baker can move. Dak's definitely a mover. We started the season with Justin Fields as a mover. Patrick Mahomes is a pain in the neck. I mean, all of these guys, right? So it's like you just got to deal with that stuff at the same time, but you got to rush the passer. You can't rush the passer fearful. We just got to rush the passer. So we don't have to worry about that thing right now. We got to get back there and get to him and hope we can make a move. And that's going to make us a better team.
What was going through your mind when you saw him take off like that?
No, I mean, I've seen it a little bit in practice. Like it was more like I think I said it after the game, but I think it was you were more fearful just in the preparation of it all, because you don't want to waste those moments in practice or do it too early before he's absolutely ready to do that. But I've seen his ability to move like that before. I've seen him run sprints by himself and seen him open up and be able to get out when he's feeling really good. And, like when you come off of those injuries, some of those things are confidence. And I kind of picked him in front of the team and said he came off the field like he was this big warrior after he got to sneak. And I'm like, get back in the huddle, but.
Did you see him like slow-mo?
Yeah, I just kind of turned away from him because he had this look on his face and he was kind of rolling, so I let him go.
He said he wants to do more of that. He wants to get out of the pocket.
Yeah, let's not get carried away. Let's get the ball to Drake and Mooney.
Yeah. Coach, this November is the NFL's Salute to Service initiative. Do you have any personal connections to the military, and how has it influenced your approach as it relates to the initiative?
My uncles both served. My Uncle Harry, he served in the Air Force. My Uncle Barry, he served in the Marines Corps. And my personal connection is really through those two, because I remember my Uncle Barry being over in Beirut when all the stuff was going on down in the 80s. And then both of my uncles being over at the same time. And I remember those guys coming home from service, and they were like my older brothers, those two guys, and really all three of my uncles. And Michael was at home. He wasn't a service guy, but they came home from service, and like I always had a sense of pride of everything about what they did and how they did it for us in order to protect us so much. And like I always had a sense of pride of those guys. And Uncle Barry still comes around. He hangs out with Led now, so older guy.
What are your thoughts on that final play that happened against the Commanders? Did you reach out to DQ after that wild play?
I know. Well, DQ lost all his cool. He looked like Jimmy V after he won the championship. I definitely called him and messed with him about that. I say, you lost all cool points, bro. You were a spaz. He was laughing about it. He's going to be mad at me because I brought that up. But it was a pretty cool moment for him. And it was things you work on, right? It was just like when you watch people execute something at a high level, the play before, getting out of bounds, recognizing the look, being able to get close for the Hail Mary, getting to the spot at the 50-yard line and throwing that thing down there, and everybody being in place, talking about the jumpers, the front tippers, the back tippers, ball getting tipped up in the air, goes right to the back tip, and it happens. It's everything you talk about in situational masters meetings that coaches talk about. And that when those things happen for coaches, that's when we feel like we affect the game. No different than our down slider at the end of the Tampa game the first time to send that thing to overtime. It's like those are coaching moments, player moments, execution, people listening. So I understood what his emotion was at that moment. I probably would have done the same thing. It was for the game winner and lost all my cool too. So I had to mess with him about losing his cool points.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
All right, guys.